here at 6, but
Yeah,
we're gonna go
yeah.
live. We're gonna go
That's
live.
good.
I'm just gonna do a quick intro. Think it's live. Okay, we've been talking, so I'm going live. And hold on, let me turn this audio off. Oh, one sec. Something else is playing. 1 second. It's an ad on. All right, I hope everyone can hear me. So Tracie and I have been chatting and we've decided to go live early. So we'll just, pick up wherever we pick up, right? So I'm Michelle for San Miguel, and I live in San Miguel de Allende. I'm here with my guest house, Casa. San Miguel de Allende is located in central Mexico. Just in case you are not familiar with it, yes, I'm a few minutes early. We always get on a few minutes early with our guests, but we were having a really juicy conversation, and we're like, let's just go for it. So if you missed the first part of this, live, feel free to go back on the replay and watch. I'm super, super, super excited to speak to Tracie Collins. She lives in San Miguel now, and I've just had the joy of getting to know her more and more. I love how dynamic she is. I really feel that she fits into this particular demographic of women who are coming here and just doing their thing, spreading their wings. And that's why tonight's topic is about embracing pivot, and not being afraid to try something different and to expand. And just kind of like the fact that we're all in this really magical place. I really think the energy that we experience here in San Miguel is because we are on top of a mountain that has quartz underneath us and so many other amazing things. And here comes the sun like blinding me. It's just gonna be a few minutes of that. So excuse all the shadows. But we were just kind of going through and saying how we love the fact that there are so many women here who support each other. And hence is, we are in this new year, 2024. Tracie was also a part of my influencer weekend, so you probably saw her on our live recap a few months ago. But she has so much to share, so much to offer, and I really wanted to have a one-on-one with her. And we've just been talking, so we're just going to start. And if you have questions, feel free to jump right on in. I'm going to let her introduce herself properly, though. So, welcome, Tracie Collins. I'm super
Thank you.
excited that you're here.
I swear, Michelle, I see like from the moment we connected, it's just like been like this.
Mhm.
So we talk or text multiple times during the week, and I just appreciate everything that you have, poured into me since, moving here to San Miguel. But my name is Tracie Collins. I am a lot of things, but I don't think I'm gonna coin Angel's phrase. I'm like in my flowing goddess mood. I need flowing goddess clothes.
That's
Like that's how
right.
I feel. I was like, I'm gonna take Angel's saying. Excuse me, you guys. I'm getting through a cold from traveling. But I've worked with women my entire adult life, from women's wellness to business infrastructure. But myself, I am now more in the keynote speaker, coaching, author phase and flowing goddess phase of my life. And building, I'm still building. I'm still in
Yes.
that, but the build looks different. The build
Mhm.
is more on, how I want this next chapter in my life to look. But I also am an open book to help other women do the same thing.
Awesome. I love it. So Tracie just has so many amazing facets that I think help anyone, any woman mostly in this stage or different phases of their life, especially when it comes to the transition to, do I want to move abroad? Do I want to change my career? Do I want to do something completely different from what I've been conditioned to do? And I just love her energy. And I feel that what I connect to the most is just going for that. Sometimes I get and understand that it's not so easy. And sometimes we have to seek courage in the people around us and the things around us that show us, because that's what we're here for. You can do this too, right? We're not trivializing it. We're not simplifying it down to, oh, it's just so easy and you just do whatever. But
Mhm.
it's more about showing you that sometimes when you embrace that thing that might be fearful, or just kind of, this is how you felt for a long time about an idea or a concept or another career or a different change or a passion, whatever it is, it's like push yourself through that fear factor and just try and see like where can I connect and who can I connect to that allows me to see myself in that same position, and understanding like we're here, we're all taking these chances, right? We're all pioneering through these waters that are very new. Yes, I've been here for 6 years, but I'm always learning something new, right? There's always something like, the time, first of all, time goes by like this, when I think back to when I got here and how I was kind of in a little bit more of a chill mode. And here I am now doing Casa for Echo for the people. But it's one of those things where it feels like such a blessing, and I'm happy that I wasn't fearful to give it a chance because I didn't know everything. I did. This is not like, oh, I connected with someone and they told me step by step, this is what you do. I just embraced it and I went for it. And so that's why we're here today. We hope we will be encouraging to anyone who has ideas. I know a lot of you are kind of going into the next chapter, which is retiring, but there are also a lot of us that want to leave, want to move, want to be abroad, wherever abroad is for you, and do something, right? Earn money. So I hope that this will inspire. So,
Mhm.
saying all of that, Tracie, tell us your story in regard to moving. What was your choice and reason for San Miguel? Because I know you did a lot of research as well.
Yeah, so we started our scouting journey in 2022, in May of 2022.
Mhm.
Um, and we went to 9 different parts of the country that was spanned through May 2022 through February 2023. And we went to all the popular spots like, Cancun, Playa, Tulum, Merida, Mexico City, Puebla, Guadalajara, Puerto Vallarta. And when we thought we were going to settle, well, where we thought we were going to settle was going to be Mexico City. As far as cities goes, there is no other. Mexico City is hands down. But when we, made the leap in August of last year, we just could not settle our life. It was obstacle after challenge after obstacle after challenge, and 2 months into that journey, I was like, we're leaving, we're going to San Miguel. It was either two choices, and San Miguel was one of them.
Mhm.
And obviously, we chose San Miguel. Had never been here before. This was the only city that we didn't know anybody
Mm.
in advance. So
Mhm.
at other points of the country, we knew other people or
Mhm.
had made connections. But San Miguel, we didn't know anyone, and I was like, I don't care how we feel. I just need to get out of Mexico City, and I just need to take a break. And
Mhm.
so we did that, and less than a week later, we fell in love with excuse me, with San Miguel. It's all of the things that you don't think you need that your
Mhm.
spirit calls for.
Yes.
And it was exactly what we needed. And to our surprise, the Black community here was like, it's big. It's really, and I've been to enough parts of Mexico to say big. The Mexico
Mhm.
City is more spread out. I think in
Mhm.
San Miguel, because of how small it is,
Mhm.
it's almost like everybody knows everybody,
That's true.
which can be a good thing and a bad thing,
I was
right?
just gonna say, don't have any scandals up in here.
It could be a good thing and a bad thing, but when you see the community come together, it's like,
Mhm.
oh my, you're sitting in awe, not realizing how big the community is, and knowing that like the person, I think she's in her 80s, she's been here since like '06.
Mhm.
You know who I'm talking about, right?
Is
She's
it that?
feisty. She's like, I think she has
Which
a
one?
cane.
Which
She's like,
lady?
I don't know. She's little. I mean, she throws them
Um,
shots back and everything, child. But
I
So,
know of several older women, so I'm not sure. But you know what? There is a woman that, so when I came in 2005, they were already here. But I met this, it was an interracial couple. She was Afro-Mexican, but grew up in New York. And her husband, I think, was also from New York, and whatever all the things were. And they basically decided to come to San Miguel, build in San Miguel, but this was them planning for their retirement.
mm,
So, in saying all of that, I haven't seen her,
oh,
but it could be because I just don't recognize or remember her face. So I'm always like kind of wondering, how's she doing? Because I know she's here, because I've talked to several people that know her. So I'm always kind of like, oh, her name is Lauda. If anyone knows Lauda, tell me where she is.
yeah. So that was how we found San Miguel. Yeah. Mm.
Nice. Okay, so you checked out other places. San Miguel was your spot. I know your kiddos have visited. What was their take on it?
Our 20 now, our now 20-year-old lives with us. But our son, he loved it. He was
Mhm.
here just for like 48 hours, and
Okay.
he was like, he plans to come back this summer and this fall. And so, I mean, during the holiday season, and
Mhm.
he is now exploring his own path as far as his exit plan. Our
Nice.
30-year-old is, she was here too, and they were here within less than a week of one another, and she loved it. She surprised her baby sister for her 20th birthday, and it was really just about that moment, but she really enjoyed it. Yeah.
Okay, lovely. I got to see your son on the street.
Yeah.
This is going back to how small San Miguel can be. It's interesting because it's small, but it's still kind of spread out as far as the geography of the city
Mhm.
and yeah. But you do get to go out and you oftentimes will see people just go to the
Mhm.
grocery store. So, you know, fix
Mhm.
yourself up when you leave the house. That's me, because I'm always like, just put this hat on. I'm not going to see anyone. I always see someone I know. And I'm just like,
Yeah.
oh. All right. Well, tell us a little bit about like some of the challenges that you faced. I mean, did any of those things kind of deter you from Mexico or emotionally deter you? I know that you had some challenges in Mexico City in regard to just kind of maybe racial profiling on your apartment hunt and things like that. But did you have any other countries lined up that you thought, oh, I'm going to check out just in case?
Yeah, we considered Costa Rica. And I
Okay.
still love Costa Rica. We really love Costa Rica. We went to Puerto Viejo, and but just the access to goods and services, and the food isn't as good. I travel for food.
I can't
I
speak about
mean,
Costa Rica because I haven't been there.
I travel for food. I can't eat like just beans and rice and a salad and protein and French fries with every meal. Like that is the staple dish in Costa Rica, no shame. But I can't do it. I need like tacos in my life. So Mexico in general, it is just a world-class country and it has
Mhm.
something for everybody. But outside of those two, no. And let me be really clear on that. The reason for that is being in a same-sex relationship as Black women, we have to travel differently. So parts of the world that other people may consider would be discriminatory against us. Maybe not me specifically because I'm feminine presenting, but my spouse is more of the you can peep her game. Like, let me just say
Mhm.
that.
Mhm.
So we have to move differently. And we knew, or at least I knew, because I was the visionary behind the move, that Latin America was where I wanted to be.
Nice. And how's it been for you in SMA in general?
I love San Miguel. I do. I don't, this is our home for the unforeseeable future. I can't see myself anywhere. Like, and
Mhm.
I've been to enough parts of Mexico to know and to be able to compare. I'm so grateful that we did do the scouting journey and we took our time, we did the comparisons, we had the metrics, we had the scale, things
Mhm.
went on the list, came off the list. Um, but yeah, San Miguel is definitely, it's the pace, it's the culture, it's the people, meaning like the native Mexican people.
Mhm.
Um, yeah, it's even the climate, even though it's like really hot here now, it
Yes.
still offers that kind of spring, summer weather. You still get a little, like you get a break in between, with the climate and stuff. So, and there's no natural disasters, which is really hard to come about in the country of Mexico itself. So,
Right.
yeah.
Right. Beautiful. Well, I'm happy that it's your place that you chose to settle. Our first actual face-to-face meetup was at one of the brunches that we have once a month. We do a monthly brunch, and it's the last Sunday of the month. And I was able to meet Tracy and her partner, her wife.
Mhm.
I'm sorry if I'm saying it wrong.
Just say spouse.
Your spouse, sorry. And it was just so sweet. It was a great group, right? And we were out there. It was hot, but it was a beautiful setting, and it was just such a nice gather. And she and I just kind of got to talking, and we've been in touch ever since. And as she said earlier, it's just been really beautiful seeing a lot of us in the community that are on the entrepreneurial path or working here in San Miguel and just kind of coming together to support. So we want to talk more about that, and we want to talk more about the pivot. I just want to say hello to everyone in the chat. Hi, Carol, Felice Goddess, Francis, Federica. Hey, Federica's here. Hi, Erica, Live Spirity. I love to see you here. I hope you're well. Hello, Deborah. Hi, Diane, Miss Bates, Sajetta, Brenda. Thank you all for being here. She said, Brenda said, are there a lot of mosquitoes in San Miguel? Not really, not compared to the tropical parts of Mexico. I think it kind of depends on where you live. Yeah, so I don't know because people ask that a lot. And for me, coming from Florida, and, I'm like, there's
Georgia.
lots of mosquitoes in
Yeah.
Florida as well than other parts of the US that I've lived. So I guess it depends on where you're coming from. But no, I don't feel that the mosquito uh, problem during the warmer months is an issue. But again, it kind of depends on what part of San Miguel. I feel like if you're in the
Yeah.
interior, then you're probably good. I live a little bit closer to the exterior, so sometimes after the rain comes, it does. We see them mostly like at night, maybe, but not. It's not out of control. Not like Puerto Vallarta or somewhere
Or
like that, or
Tulum. Yeah.
Oaxaca on the beach.
I mean,
Yeah. Hi, Miss Gloria. Welcome. So these ladies are here. As soon as I get
hey.
off tonight, I'm making curry salmon, y'all.
Oh, that sounds good.
For the ladies, yeah, it's gonna be fun. Okay, so I want to talk about a little bit about the pivot, right?
Yeah.
We have some notes here. First, tell us a little bit about your book. I also don't want to forget to mention that Tracy also recently opened an Airbnb directly in Central. You can find it on her website,
Mhm.
Tracie Collins official, right? .com. And it is called Sweet San Miguel, which I love, the play on
Mhm.
words. She's let me see. I don't remember exactly where it is, but it's in Central.
Like,
And yes, and it's really, really adorable. I've only seen like the pictures, but they just recently did this. So if you're looking for a place to stay as well, and you want to be in Central, it's close to everything. So you tell us a little bit about it because I'm just like blah, 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 as if
no,
I
you
put it
did a
together
great
for
job.
you.
It's a house. It's a two-bedroom, two bath.
Mhm,
Um, it's smack dab in Central. All you need is a good pair of walking shoes, and you are in the midst of everything. It's
mhm,
right by the artisanal market, Mercado's, Ignacio Ramirez Mercado. You are like a few minutes of walk away from the Parroquia. You
mhm,
are just like near the Jardín. You're on the strip of like tianguis and food trucks and little shops and boutiques. It's just right smack dab in Central. However, but since you are in Central, know that it's Central. It's going to be loud depending upon the time of year, the festivities. But also, if you come to our space, it's like you're coming for that reason in Central.
Right. Exactly. And so, and I think that that's always the initial thing that people want, anyways, especially if
Mhm.
they're coming for vacation, is to be in Central. Don't complain about the noise because it can be noisy, but not all the time. But you are in the heart of everything. And it's, to me, San Miguel has kind of like around the clock things to do, right? You
Yeah,
can go into Central after dark and it's safe and it's nice, right?
and
There are lights.
beautiful.
Yeah, it's
And the
beautiful.
mariachi band, like in
Yes.
Spain, it's like
Yes, rooftops galore. Like when I first moved here, that's all I did. I would just go to Central, hang out, have drinks, and do all these like, social things. And now I'm
yeah,
just kind of like, oh, the traffic.
it
So, but if
is a
you're in
lot.
Central, you don't have to worry about that. Like she said, you just make sure you have some really good walking shoes and get yourself on out there and enjoy it. So make sure you look that up. I'm going to actually type the website in the chat for anyone who
And
wants.
yeah, Sweet San Miguel. So it's SUITE,
Yes,
Sanmiguel.com. Mm-hmm.
to be San Miguel, Miguel.com. Okay, check it out. Okay, so tell us a little bit about your book and then we'll get into the pivot conversation.
So this book was a 2-year journey for me. I wrote this book because I just wanted to tell my story. And the artist in me is a storyteller. Like I'm a writer
Mhm,
and I actually have produced productions. And so I wanted to tell my story. And what was honestly, I don't think I've ever told this part. What was
mhm,
happening is I actually have a team of people that I've been working with since 2020.
mhm,
And my projects have been pitched over and over to Hollywood. And
mhm,
there were carrots dangled in our face and they were being snatched back because it was too black. Basically, it was too
mhm,
black woman for them. And
mhm,
so because it had to do with our history, it had to do with our lineage, it had to do with the the things that have happened to us throughout medical history in
mhm.
in the States. And so I wanted to tell the story and I wanted to tell it as authentic as I could. So I ended up writing my own story, which led me to create, my business that I recently sold last year. And it's from birth up until that point, that book is. Now I have a whole nother
Nice.
book that I'm working on inside, but that is what that's about. And I think I was in such a unique position because after 17 years of being in the birth field for women, and then I launched the national company, I was in that wellness space or in the childbirth space for 23 years as a Black woman. And I led ways. I was always the pioneer of something simply because of the color of my skin.
Mhm,
But what I did was I just created something that wasn't there for us. So,
mhm.
and the company quickly became the leading source and the go-to for all things Black maternal health in the
I
States.
love it.
And we had, partnerships that I helped broker, like with Walmart. I had to, somewhat broker deals with bigger corporations. And
Nice.
but what I quickly knew is that y'all come in with these big corporate names and you just want my name or company attached and y'all not coming with no checks. So
Okay.
yeah, I was
How
like,
does
yeah,
that work?
and we're not gonna just use Tracie's intellectual property. I license this stuff out. I'm gonna be politically
Mhm.
correct.
Right.
So but I sold the company last year and I needed to because I got tired of dealing with Black women in a state of death and desperation and
Mhm,
not us thriving. And
mhm,
that is where I've pivoted. It's like I really want to focus on us living and us thriving and then us building and
mhm,
living out our wildest dreams because we deserve that love, that light, that prosperity, that abundance, that pleasure. And
mhm,
everything that was coming across my desk was about that. So
mhm,
it went to the perfect person and it still lives on. So I'm happy to have created that kind of legacy that will live on beyond me because it was
mhm,
never about me. But
mhm.
now it's more like I see myself in the women that I support because I understand transition, like major transition, which was the year of 2023 for us.
Right. So in regard to just kind of your love of helping women.
Mhm.
What do you feel is your direction and your purpose now at this
Yeah.
stage in San Miguel? What do you feel, or what would you like to share with us that kind of is leading in this direction of how you're pivoting, continuing? Because you're a great example of someone who has tried different things and succeeded at different things and is willing to try to take those skill sets and move it into a whole other lane.
Yeah, like because I'm an entrepreneur through and through, I understand how to build business,
Mhm.
but it's not necessarily about the business building. I mean, yes, that's a part of it. It's really about because I've been so vocal now with being in transition and finding myself in a space of like, what now or what next? There are more of us coming to me saying that's my story too. And
Mhm.
it's so that has been, this is why I love like the power of the pivot. It's like embracing your power, but there's so many dynamics to that. You have to sit still with that. So I really help women from a mentorship, from a coaching aspect of like, let's help funnel what your dreams and aspirations are, but we're centering you at the focus. And so now let's build upon that and helping them to not be afraid of the new or the next level in their life. And we talked about imposter syndrome before we got on,
Yes.
is, we all deal with imposter syndrome, but it's not why, it should be why not me, you know,
Correct.
why
Correct.
not me? And we all have to walk through the fear.
Mhm.
And so really helping women and supporting women through that. If you need me to help you build your business, I could do that. I mean,
Right.
honestly, these are one, two, three steps.
Right.
But it's really about having the courage. Who is the person behind it? Let's work on her because that's who I really care about. I work with
I love
CEOs
it.
all the time, but my question is always going to be, how are you?
Right. I love it. So tell me more about the coaching aspect, because I think uh, we need to understand ourselves, right, to be successful in doing a business and entrepreneuring through those challenges that come with being an entrepreneur. And, like I'm also still learning a lot. I've done also several businesses over the years, some that just were like flippity flop. But, I was determined to try something else, and none of them had anything to do with the other. They were completely different. But I think, in this stage of the game for me, someone who teaches, like you said, how are you doing? Like, are you focused on yourself, and are you in tune with what exactly your direction is? Sometimes I'm a person who jumps into things, not necessarily willy-nilly, but I usually am strategic about it, but I'm also not necessarily with the full list of here's how it goes down and here are all my numbers and here's all my things. I'm just kind of like, I believe in this and I'm gonna make it work, but then it's the where do I slow it down a little bit. So I love that part. What do you provide in that aspect in terms of coaching and just kind of helping people, I guess, probably be more focused on themselves?
You know what? I center it around your pleasure point. So it depends on what people come to me wanting. Are you coming to me, you want to build a business? Are you coming
Mhm.
to me to get well? Like, let's talk
Mhm.
about wellness because it doesn't matter to me what your business idea is. If you, the person, aren't here to sustain it, then all of that goes out of the window.
Mhm.
And so I talk about like understanding your pleasure, your understanding your pleasure. You and I have had this conversation offline, but I look at pleasure differently from a lot of people. It's really about the five senses of pleasure for me,
Mhm.
and how we can channel what makes you feel good into other aspects of your life because it's that feeling of pleasure that you're going to have to recreate and demonstrate for yourself to be able to attract that. So we start to really break that down. And honestly, there's a lot of unpacked baggage that resides in this space. There's a lot of
Mhm.
society impressed ideologies that are upon us. There's a lot of family things. There's a lot of religious aspects that are keeping us from being essentially who we're designed and created or desire to be. So it's about unpacking all of those levels and layers, and now we can build upon something. Now that we've gotten to her, now let's build outward. And we go from there. But it's structured into, sometimes people work with me for 3 months. Sometimes people just book strategy calls with me just to say, this is what's going on. Can you break this down for me? But it depends on what it is the need is.
What do you find possibly is probably one of the common challenges that women have, maybe even down to Black women in terms of, I want to say more believing in your abilities and yeah, unpacking a lot of things because I do everything you listed is super relatable. I'm sure for not just myself but others.
For Black women in particular, it is I will rest when I die.
Mm-hmm.
And it is I'm putting everybody else ahead of me. And when you sit with yourself, you don't know who you are.
Mm-hmm.
And
That's
I'm
very
the girl who's
powerful.
extremely introspective. And if there's a dis-ease within my body, I'm like, I feel it immediately because I'm that hypersensitive and that in tune to me. But it's
Mm-hmm.
also because I've had years of practice at this. I've had years of working with women in transition. It could have been whatever part in their life. And I've also dealt with women from the onset of conception to childbirth to postpartum, into menopause, from, sexuality, so the full gamut. So
Mm-hmm.
I can pick up where the pointers are, but it spills over into saying yes to everybody else and no to ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm the opposite.
You got to teach everyone
I'm the opposite.
how to
I'm
do
like, yeah,
this.
no, we can't do that. That doesn't work. How's that working for you? Or can I say something?
No, that's great. I mean, I think what you said is so on point about we're constantly trying to do, right? We
Mhm.
are the superheroes in so many
Right.
things in everyone's lives, our kids, our
Yeah.
partners, our spouses, whatever. I know that I feel like a constant superheroing about things. And when I am not, I realize just how much I'm just going, 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 going. I don't have a problem saying no to things, but I think I have like, I don't always have the best balance in, how realistic it is that I can execute so much. I
Mhm.
just am constantly, like, if it's next Friday, I'll be like, okay, there's really nothing happening. All right, I'm signed up. But then by the time I get to next Friday, it's like my whole week is like caving in
Mhm.
on me. And I'm like, okay, do this one more thing tomorrow. And then you can rest on this day. Oh, wait, no, so I think that it's really important, especially if you plan to embrace the pivot, which
Yeah.
could be, I'm going to be an entrepreneur, to, what do you say to someone who needs to carve time for self and to be in tune with self and in the things what activities should they do to be in touch?
One good bit of advice that I love that I heard is you look at your week going forward. So if we're on a Monday, you look at your calendar, and if
Mhm.
anything can be rescheduled, do it.
Mhm.
Or you take a break in between meetings. It could be a 15-minute break in between meetings and phone calls. You have to carve out little time of day for
Mhm.
yourself every day. And
Mhm.
not, it's really important not to confuse busy for being productive.
Exactly.
And oftentimes people confuse, well, I'm doing so much, but you're not really doing anything. Like, how much progress are you making? So it's getting women to rethink their approach to their day, to themselves. And self-care to me is not about, oh, I'm gonna go get my nails and my hair done. I'm gonna go get a massage. I'm not about like spending money on self-care because that's not realistic for every day. So your
Mhm.
everyday self-care has to be embedded within your own routine within your home.
Mhm.
And so what does that look like? Because if your home is your space where you work, where most entrepreneurs do, you have to have a space in your home that's dedicated to no work, that's
Mhm.
dedicated to just pleasure,
Right.
that's dedicated to just like pouring, allowing you to just be and focusing on the be versus the do. I spoke this weekend at UC Berkeley at an
Yes.
event, and this woman said something, and she just said, you know, all the things that she did, and I said, well, can I say something? And she said, yeah. And she said, I said, well, what I hear is that you spent less time being versus doing. And
Mhm.
she was like, and she sat with that for a minute, but you could see her getting ready to defend herself. And then
Mhm.
she caught herself. And then she said, I almost defended myself, but you are absolutely correct.
Mhm.
And because my job has always been to listen to women in between the lines. Like I'm
Mhm.
always, just as my background, my training as a midwife, you're telling me one thing, but I'm literally diagnosing you from head to toe in my brain. I'm a scanning machine when it comes to women. So I'm listening to what's not being said.
Mhm.
And I'm looking at how you're treating yourself. You have to be the first demonstrator of how you want to be treated. You must treat yourself that way.
True.
Because that way, if anything is off, you can identify it immediately.
True. That is so on point because I am the example of the person who's not doing the slow down part. I am
Mhm.
doing too much. And I'm saying that it's not a complaint. You know, I love what I do, but I think that what I haven't realized is how to fit in the things that are more pleasurable for me. And there are things that I know I can do. One of the things that I'm kind of more religious about is getting up and walking in the morning. That's the way I
Mhm.
start my day. It's quiet, I go with my crazy dogs and, but I love it. Like this morning I walked down by the railroad tracks and there's like beyond the tracks is where the lake used to be because the water's drying up, unfortunately. That's a whole nother subject, so don't ask me about that. And and it was a misty morning, so there was like clouds that had fallen, and I just absolutely love the scenery, tree lined dirt road, and it's just lovely, So that's one of the pleasures that I indulge in. But then, I get back and I'm just like, and then I'm like, okay, well, who am I meeting today? That will dictate whether or not I just put a baseball hat on and whatever. And I think it's important for us to slow down and do those little self-care steps, right? Take your time and maybe put the eyeliner on and put and it's like you said, it's not just about doing the nails, but it's about feeling good when you leave the house as well. You're not just going ragged, ragged, ragged. So tell me a little more about like what things would be considered like a pleasurable, tapping into. Things that you enjoy, whether it's eating stuff. For me, going to La Gruta is super spiritual. What kind of things would you say to someone who's moving too quickly and not saying no enough to things? Like, what would you say? Hey, you should slow down and
It's
indulge.
easier said than done to somebody. Like they'll hear you, but I would honestly first start with breathing. Black
Mhm.
women, there is a study that has been shown that Black women breathe the least. So it's about giving your body the necessary oxygen that your organs need. So
Mhm.
honestly, taking deep breaths with them and like literally filling your lungs with that air, and you can feel it as if you're blowing up a balloon. We have to start with where you have to understand when your body is tense so you can identify it, and then walking them through some physical release exercises. So from the tension in the forehead to the tension behind the neck, and
Mhm.
like even uncrossing your legs and your hands and releasing your jaw. You can't,
Mhm.
in my world, you can't have like a tight jaw and a loose vagina. It don't work. You
Do they
know,
go together?
you have to have, they both have to be loose or tight.
Girl, I got to get
It's,
my mind out the
it's
gutter.
like, so but that's honestly helping you to identify, like, the simplest ways that we can begin to release and then understand what feels good, because we have to tap into self. And there's just there's somatic body work that can be done that you can do on yourself and not necessarily have to go outside to seek to get that done. You can, but we have to start with self. So I always drive it back home. And then it's like, if you feel like getting dressed up or putting red lipstick on, or if you feel like doing your hair or taking a walk, my thing, I like to take off to go get tacos. Like, it's little things that make you
It's
feel
a
good.
pleasure.
But it's about, honestly, it teaches you to recreate those moments during the day and
Right.
not about waiting for permission.
Mhm. Or planning it, like, oh, okay, I'm gonna go here on Saturday, I'm gonna do this on Friday.
Yeah,
But you said breathing techniques, meditation,
yeah.
even just taking some time in a very quiet
Masturbation
space.
is
Yeah.
wonderful. Like,
Hmm.
I mean, you should see me in our group chat, not literally doing the act, but I'm just like encouraging, like, this is what to do, this is what to
Yes.
get, this is
And
how you
what's
do it.
interesting is a lot of people are afraid to talk about that.
Not
And
me.
me neither. Yes, I know where
Vaginas
I
are
am
my
too.
life.
Yes, of course, exactly, right in your face, right? But I think that a lot of times people or women are afraid to express themselves about these things. I know in my adult life, a lot of times I've encountered women who are like, oh, I don't know what that is. I've never had an orgasm. I've never had, and I'm just kind of like, really?
Yeah,
Okay,
I feel
you
so
know,
sorry for those women. But
yeah.
it's again about, we have to know who you are. We have to know who Michelle is. We have to know who Tracy is.
Right.
And it's unfair to put on people that it is your job to give me pleasure in any regard.
Yes.
It's unfair that you put that on someone else. You must be
Mhm.
the demonstrator of the pleasure in your life in totality. It's not just about physical pleasure. It's
Exactly.
always about the five senses of pleasure.
Mhm. And
Yeah.
I think too, not being afraid to explore what
Yeah.
works for you, and also, if you have a spouse, partner, whatever, to be able to comfortably talk through it. It can be awkward depending on who you're talking to, but I
Mhm.
think it's important to have that communication, so that you're not just kind of lopsided in the exchange, because it happens. And I know people live with this for years and
Yeah.
decades probably, and or maybe they just never experienced like that
Mhm.
ultimate, yeah.
Yeah. And
So
but
anyway,
it's about creating that heightened sensation in
mhm,
other aspects of your life. It's
exactly.
about, how do you identify that pleasure? Okay, now that I've tapped into that feeling, now I need to
Mhm,
spill it over into other relationships, platonic, societal, being family members or whatever. It could be
mhm,
work, it could be whatever you want, your
mhm.
environment, but we have to spill it over. And then we have to start with self first.
Exactly. So in saying that, having the ability to embrace something that you've always wanted to do, or multiple things that you've always wanted to do. Like for myself, I always wanted to learn how to play the drums. I want to learn how to DJ, right? The only reason I haven't done it is just for like not taking the time and carving it out. Will I be good at it? I don't know. But the point is trying and moving yourself down those paths in regard to a business, taking
Mm-hmm.
the leap of faith to move abroad. We
Mm-hmm.
all know this is a big thing. We know that it's a huge movement. I've seen both sides. I've seen the side of success. I've seen the side of failure. For the ones that it didn't work for, I don't know that there's an exact answer, but I think that it's the embracing what
Mm-hmm.
that is for you, right? Understanding, and I always tell people, know thyself, meaning understand what it takes for you to make those changes, knowing that you're not necessarily going to have all of the answers and things aren't always going to line up the way you need it to. But I think if you understand, I can digest things in big amounts, or I can only digest in smaller amounts. So I probably need to do more research, more homework, or whatever it is. And then when you get to that place, or even before you get to that place, because I've had several clients who did a lot of research, right? And then they got here and it was great. They figured it out, whether it was with work, not with work, whatever it was. But figuring out, like, what do I do? Sometimes that may take you more than a month to plan, right? It's a process. So I think that in saying that is understanding how you can embrace the change, embrace what your ideas are, embrace that it can be scary, but find the support system. And that's kind of what we wanted to really like inspire whoever's watching tonight. There are a lot of our ladies in SMA that are in the group that are, we're all in this boat, right, together. So tell me what has been your experience in terms of just embracing these changes, but also, the pivot that you encourage other women to take and do. You are clearly grasping and pulling and doing onto all of these things, but we also have amazing women in our community that are also doing this, and the support system that comes along with that.
I think with our support system, and I would actually, include you in on that, but the core group, it's like we also hold each other accountable, and not in a bad way, but it's like, oh, what about this? Or, we are each other's cheerleader, but also each other's like, okay, go and adjust this and correct this. And I'm a person who, I know myself, between myself and Alum, we're business heads. So we're always looking at infrastructure, we're looking at structure, we're looking at strategy, we're looking at processes, we're looking at like execution, we're looking at follow through. So all of those steps, like how are they being outlined? How are you completing all of those steps? But embracing the pivot, you have to be flexible. If you come from a place of not being flexible, being too rigid, then moving abroad, you may want to rethink your pace, or if it's something that you really want to embrace, because it's going to require a certain level of flexibility. Being entrepreneur, we are thrown into flexibility. We have to pivot. We have to have a brain of, okay, if this don't work, we got to do this. But some people just aren't wired that way. They like, things already outlined and planned. And unfortunately, that's not how life works. Life is always going to show up. I always tell people there's no straight lines in nature. So why do you think you deserve a straight line?
That's
You
true.
don't. So let's get that out of the way. And so making sure that you do your due diligence, you definitely research, but I also say it is different from vacationing versus scouting versus settling your life. So if you think that you want to be in a certain place or space, come and stay at least a month. See if it works for you or not. See how the culture, that's what we did with San Miguel. We didn't know nobody from a can of paint. I mean, and had never been here. And it ended up being the sweet spot for us. But it was because, we took the chance and decided to do that. But I also say bet on you. And you are also going to have to pour into yourself when nobody else will. We can't always look for external cheerleaders. We have to first be our own champion. So,
Exactly.
and then if you're a person who needs a really supportive community around you, then make sure that you're also the kind of person that can give that back.
True.
We don't want to be vampires out here. I'm an energy girl. I'm a Libra. We love, reciprocity. So I'm always looking for the balance in the relationship giving. So not just coming here to take, but to bring as well. But I always go back to the flexibility. How flexible are you? How malleable are you? You have to take in new culture, new language, new people, new ways of living, new environment, new processes of doing things, new individuals
Everything.
meeting people. It's like, so if you are too rigid and have to have everything planned out, it's not going to work.
Yeah.
Something has to give.
Exactly. And also, in addition to that is not getting hung up on the little things that can be
Yeah,
frustrating, right? Because
yeah,
we are foreigners and
yeah.
not everyone's trying to get over on you, but sometimes it happens. And, I think kind of making comparisons to where you came from, I mean, and what it's like, and oh, in the U.S., because I used to hear that a lot, and when I first got it, it's like, oh, in the United States, this and that. It wouldn't even be in the United States, it was America, and I'd be like, this is America too. But anyway, another technicality. But in America or in the U.S., it was this way, and da 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 da. And then I get those antsy feelings sometimes. Customer service here is very different, especially in San Miguel, where things move slower, things take a lot longer. There are challenges. There are things that really, really can just raise your blood pressure. Where, especially when you feel like you don't fully understand something. One of the more recent things for me has been doing this business, having the challenges of not knowing, hiring someone to help me, but it's just one of those things where it takes a long time, where you're kind of just moving at snail pace. And if you're not used to that, because in the US, I was so used to going online, get my FEIN number, set my business up, get my, accountant to do my whatever, whether it was a LLC, a S Corp or whatever. It was just a faster process. And, oh, I need this. Okay, just show up at this office. And of course I can speak the language. But here it was just so different. And it was just like one of those things where nothing was very clear. And I think that coming with the bucket of patience and, like you said, flexibility is super important. But understanding that so many people are here, even older people that have been here for a really long time, they came and they started something, right? Even in the day and age that we live in, imagine what it was like 10, 20, 30 years ago. There wasn't like this access to all this free knowledge, right, that we could get, or information. But I've seen so many folks say, oh yeah, I just have my little artist studio. I got a space. There's so many needs that we have. I know you talked about this when you and the ladies were on a couple of months ago. And I just want people to understand, like, there are a lot of needs here, especially in our community. And if you have a skill, like, consider that. If you really want to leave and it's like, well, how do I earn? Maybe you can do something out of your home, right? A lot of people do things out of their home. So
out of their cars, out of their trunks of the car.
off
There's
of their
another person.
bicycles. A
Yes.
bicycle. There's a guy who literally sharpens knives
He
on
came
his
by our house
bicycle.
yesterday and he has a flat tire and his chain is off his bike, but he walks that bike and he sharpens your knives.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. I
Yeah.
know, I'm not telling you to be a knife sharpener. I'm just saying.
There's a need.
Right. There's a will, there's a way.
Yeah, I
You
believe
know?
that just like bringing your skill set, and this is where community comes in.
Mhm.
People who have lived here longer, who are entrepreneurs in the space or new in the space, but having the communal mindset, even if so the states you come from an individualistic society mindset, you have to let that go and
Exactly.
come in with an open heart and willingness to kind of put yourself out there to meet people who are here and who are doing the damn thing,
Mhm.
because people want to help you and they want to see you win, but also making sure that you're being a good immigrant, like you are, treating the natives with honor and respect because we are still a guest in their home, and
Absolutely.
doing your due diligence to assimilate into the culture.
Yes. And also understanding from the local standpoint, I have a lot to say about that. But one of the things I want to say is I have a really amazing group that helps me, works with me, works for me, however you want to phrase it. And what I realized is they also have their talents, right? And even if they only are doing housekeeping, I'm using that as an example. One of the ladies that started with just housekeeping for me, and she was very quiet, very shy. She was very detailed, and I saw that right away because I'm also very detailed with just the things in my house. Like if there's a crooked picture or something, I'm fixing it. If it's crooked in your house, I'm gonna fix it. I may not say anything, I'm just gonna slide by and adjust. But the point is that she's very detailed. And when we started to get to know each other a little bit more, and she would just kind of like say, like, oh, well, what do you think about this? What do you think about that? Understanding that they also have talents and they are also potential partners and potential people that can really help you get to somewhere faster, get you better quotes and cost on things. Like right now, she's just in my life. And she wants me to teach her how to drive, and things like this. And it's like there's that balancing act where I'm like, okay, she is amazing. She could actually have her own business, and finding ways to maybe partner with people. Like I ask her all the time, like, what do you need in your town? Right? What's out there, right? What's missing? What do you see? What do you think? So there are opportunities around us. It doesn't just have to be a separate thing. She's offered to help with food here. She's like, hey, you want to do your Jamaican food? Let me help you. Teach me how to make stuff. So all of these types of things are around us. I think it's the unconditioning of our head, the way we think about things in our minds and how we put it all together. Because I know for the longest time, I always worked in corporate, even though I felt that I was always an entrepreneur at heart. But I worked in corporate for 15 years or more. And it was just like, okay, this is how it is. And I can't imagine not having a steady check and how much am I earning and whatever. And, I quit in 2002 and things have just been amazing in general. There are challenges, but it's been just really an amazing journey that I would not change for sitting at a desk and being miserable for the last 22 years of my life,
That's because you bet on you. You have to bet on you. And that's when the thing people ask me, well, about being an entrepreneur. First of all, I hold creator responsible to take care of me. I do. Like my job is to show up with a skill set and to do my due diligence. The taking care of and how is creator's responsibility because you gave me these gifts, right? So you're going to take care of me. Okay. You're going to take care of me and mine, make sure I'm comfortable, make sure we're comfortable because I'm showing up with the gifts and talents that you have given me to do. But you have to bet on you. And one of the things that I've learned in betting on you, you will hustle harder and differently and longer because it's you doing it. It isn't the approach of like, oh, that will be there. It's like, I feel honor in knowing that, like when we bought our home or bought our cars and all of the things, even moving out of the country, it was because I bet on myself. It wasn't somebody setting the price, point for me or giving me permission and access. It was like, no, girl, you did this. You did the damn thing. So therefore you can take the leap, and it's uncomfortable, but it's supposed to be uncomfortable because that's where the growth comes in.
Absolutely. And I want to say, in my experiences, working in kind of a more boxed in corporate setting, I was always miserable. Like, I mean, I know a lot of people can relate to that. The opportunities that I had to try something different, it was just exciting. I know that's not for everyone, but it was exciting. I pushed harder, I worked harder. But I always remember feeling like, I would never give this much of my energy and time to a corporate setting. It was just a job in this regard. But yes, you do work harder. You're more kind of like savvy in your thinking, and how you approach problems, and you push through things. And I've learned a lot, especially being here and doing this in a foreign country. But even in the United States, when my son was younger and I was, okay, what am I going to do work-wise? Because I didn't want to work for a person. So I said, okay, I'm going to start a business. And I did. And I remember just putting myself in this position of, even if I'm not earning what I think I should earn, I'm looking at this as I'm paying for the education of what I don't know yet. And I'm using my time and I'm going to take that and I'm going to, okay, I'm starting out here, but eventually I can charge people more. I can give a higher
Goodness.
quote for that job because now, guess what? I just went out, I bought power drills, I learned how to drywall, I learned how to fix, turn houses over, flip them, whatever. And I started with me doing the work because I wanted to understand what that meant. And when it was time to hire people, I knew exactly what
You
I
knew your
needed them
business.
to do, right? And this was like a man, more male dominated industry. But I knew what I was talking about. I wasn't relying on the, person who was doing the work to just tell me, oh, this is what I'm going to do. I actually knew exactly what needed to be done, what the cost was, how much time it would take. And I learned this skill. I always had a passion for, upgrading homes and things like that. But I learned how to actually do a lot of the work that wasn't like, like needed a licensed plumber or electrician or whatever. So in saying all of that, fast forward to when it was time to go out and buy my house, it was just like you said, it was more rewarding because I was able to buy my house from me having my own business for like 2 years only, and it's harder to qualify for a
It is.
mortgage when
It
it's
is.
your business, right? Because you have to show whatever. And I was
They
just like,
ask
oh
for
my
way
God,
more
this is,
things.
yeah, it's like,
Extra
this is
due.
awesome, So in saying that, I feel like you can take all of that gumption anywhere you
You
are.
can.
You can take it with
Yeah.
you.
You can. It's just about, again, it's like not letting imposter syndrome be the
Mhm.
fear stopper for you. You have to
Mhm.
push through that and say, why not me?
Correct.
That it's like we have to change that verbiage, we have to change that mindset, and we have to take that leap of faith. Everything starts with an idea.
Mhm.
Everything. So it's like moving through and past that. It's gonna come. And the saying, if you take that leap, there will be a net to catch you. So
Mhm.
it's like trusting the leap, process.
Absolutely. Yes, absolutely. I love it. So, identifying the perfect pivot points for your business, what would you say that looked like or would look like?
Well, I would say, first of all, deciding what you want to do.
Mhm.
What is it? And even if you don't have that answer right away, write down at least three things, no more than five, but at least three of where you feel like your strongest skill sets are.
Mhm.
Secondly, is how can they move with you? Meaning, do you have to be in person to exchange your time for money? Or is it, I'm a person who believes in time and location autonomy. Like I also believe in bodily autonomy.
Mhm.
So how do we have that honor over our time and our location when it
Mhm.
comes to the ways that we earn our income? Then from there, once we've identified the what we want to do, and
Mhm.
having, how we're going to do it, then it's about the systems in place that need to be put into place, like the structure and now the systems. And then
Mhm.
what are you going to do for your marketing? How are you putting yourself out there? How are you going to meet with first of all, you have to identify your ideal customer and or client,
Mhm.
with your product and or service. But in doing that, how are you going to reach them? So then we have to talk about like your strategies for marketing and your social media strategy and your
Mhm.
presence. I'm a person who believes that you have to have a presence everywhere because people take in information differently
True.
and different platforms reach different people and different age demographics.
Mhm.
So, understanding who's your target market. So, but that's where it's like when you get with a business coach or strategist like myself who can help put that together for you, it's about having this grand idea. Now we're funneling it in. Now let's put these tangible, marketable steps in place. And then your business partner, I'm sorry, your business strategist or coach should also be your accountability partner. Because I'm
Mhm.
one of those, I'm going to go back and look behind you and look at what you're doing, even when you don't think I am. You're like, okay, so we need to adjust this, we need to correct this. We talk
Mhm.
about price point, especially with Black women. Oftentimes,
Mhm.
Black women price themselves below value. So
Mhm.
now let's talk about pricing ourselves at value. And what does
Mhm.
that look like? And why do we
Mhm.
have such a hard time accepting it, articulating it, and demanding it, and not negotiating our rate?
Mhm.
Yeah. So it's like walking yourself through all of those steps.
What do you say to people who, or women who want to cater solely to Black women
I
in
think I,
regard to?
I built the whole company from it.
Okay.
However, I will say this, even within your Black women, it has to be, who are you focusing on?
Mm,
Even because, we're not a monolith. So who is she?
mhm,
And what age demographic is she? What's her job, her age bracket? How does she take in information? Where does she take in information? Does she have disposable income? When you do that, then you understand how to reach her. But I mean, you can totally do that. But I'll
mhm,
also like recommend certain business strategies to set your business up so
mhm,
that way it can reach her.
mhm. I'm asking because I'm in this space, right? And the majority of the things that have happened here have been fully, wholeheartedly, thank you, ladies, been supported by my mostly Afro-American women.
Yeah.
And it's been a beautiful thing. I have kind of had like a lot of different conversations with various people over the years around, you know, having the space be more diverse in general. And it is. I mean, it is open. I've had lots of different people that have passed through. But at the same time, I feel that it is sometimes, I think, for us as Black women in this space of being an entrepreneur, if your business is a specific thing, to only be, this, because it's not just about money, but at the same time, we are here to earn, right? And so the conversation becomes a little bit different. And I think that as someone in business, I have kind of gone back and forth in conversations with people about this, and everyone has an opinion, right, about it. So just kind of like, I'm not saying one thing or the other. I guess I'm just asking what you think about it.
As far as Black women being able to afford your price point.
Well, or you just putting a price point out there and just saying this is what it
This
is.
is your price. I'm not a price negotiator. You can
Mhm,
never present me with a price, Michelle, and then I say you're not deserving of that. Because to me, that's a reflection of what that person feels like they're not deserving of. So they are deflecting it upon me.
mhm,
Um, I'm not that girl. And so I remember in my company that I sold, we offer courses and trainings. And some
mhm,
Black woman wrote me, she says, well, I don't think you should be charging whatever the rate was. I think it was $725 at that particular point for a 3-day training. And I said, I didn't ask you what you thought.
mhm.
And so, but again, it's about pricing yourself at value. And there's a technique that I walk Black women specifically through to
Mhm,
how to create the structure regarding pricing
mhm,
themselves with their skill set in their market
mhm,
competitively
mhm,
and be able to demand that. And it
mhm,
ain't even about negotiating. I'm not a price. I'm not going to negotiate a Black woman on a price. A white man can come. I'll negotiate that shit all damn day, but not a
mhm,
Black woman because
mhm,
her skill set and her challenges to get to where she is completely different, and who she's responsible for is completely different.
mhm,
But there is a certain strategy that I walk Black women through. And there's
mhm.
a video on my YouTube channel, Pricing Yourself at Value, regarding
Okay,
it. Yeah.
okay. You all look that up. And your channel is Tracie Collins Official, correct?
No, it's just my name.
Just Tracie Collins, okay.
Mhm.
She also has a YouTube channel, TikTok. Tell us all the stuff. I
All this
have it
stuff.
in it's in the description box as well, just for anyone who wants to go and look for it if you're watching this on a replay later. But we all are here in this community and we're trying to do our best to support those of us that are, not getting a Social Security check yet and the pension check yet. But back to what you were saying, I'm asking because I've had this conversation, but also others have had this conversation, and it's something that we've talked about as well in our group. And sometimes I think we want to continue to support the people that we want to support, right? Because it's important to also do that, because I do also believe in pouring in
Mhm.
and not just taking out, right? Drinking out of the
Right.
cup. So this is for anyone's watching this, I'm not complaining about anything. I'm just talking from the
Mhm.
standpoint of, where we feel at times we're undervalued for what
Mhm.
we put into a business.
Yeah, and people aren't going to know what you put into your business.
True.
It's not their business,
That's
and
true.
like figuratively and literally, it's
Mhm.
not. However, in specific to what you offer, I know for a fact I will never do what Michelle does. I was like, she is like a full concierge service. So to me, the price point is fair
Mhm.
because I look at the days, the
Mhm.
environment that's created, like your actual physical environment. There's a lot of thought and intention within Casa Elm itself. And then also whom you bring in to carry out the mission for people who join the relocation tour. I ain't doing that. You can come stay at my guest house in Central. I can give you some resources and you on your own. We can provide
Mhm.
housekeeping services, driver services,
Mhm.
all of the things. But if you want that full concierge, then go to Casa Elm.
Mhm. Mhm.
Um, but I believe when it talks about like how do you charge your worth, but also offer ways for people to be able to partake in it. I'm a firm believer in payment plans.
Mhm.
Like I'm a firm believer also in no refunds. As long as you as the business owner,
Mhm.
you make sure you don't breach your own agreement because we can't be business owners who are not operating ethically,
Right.
and ethical, who aren't operating ethically.
Right.
So making sure that you are holding yourself accountable to the goods and services that you said you were going to provide,
Absolutely.
and making sure that there's a way for your customer or client base to be able to, take advantage of that. But not putting yourself not lowering your price thinking it's going to bring you more. It doesn't.
Right.
Not offering so much that you're thinking you're offering something for everybody because you don't want every person or everybody to be your customer base. That doesn't make
Mhm.
sense either.
Mhm. That's right on point. It makes sense. There's so many things going on here in the chat. I'm
What's going on
sorry.
in the chat? I
I'm,
can't see the chat.
I'm sorry, ladies. I'm just like, we're just doing our thing over here. I'm going to scroll up a bit. Welcome Transition, Federica Danielle, Michelle Fox, Michelle Watson, Cheryl, Shauna, Damaris. Am I missing anyone? D. Damaris again. So, okay, so there are mostly comments about things that we talked about, learning how we can collaborate with each other, the benefits of doing that, especially here. Since I've lived in San Miguel, I've been in a lot of different circles, right? Real high end circles. I still have a lot of those people that I interact with regularly. People like myself, and then our group, our newer groups, which includes you ladies, and it's just really a beautiful thing to see. But one of the things that I want to say is that here in our town, in our community, I feel that we have the opportunity to not just continue uplifting each other, which we do very well, but we also have the opportunity to network and connect with certain circles and groups in SMA that are not necessarily
Right,
Afro-Americans,
right.
and saying that, it's one of those things where it's like, okay, there are a lot of authors, people who write, a lot of people who have traveled in regard to, this is a simple example, I want to expand my Caribbean food thing, right? And I know that that would do well in the circles outside of Black SMA. But I haven't really put myself out there because I'm kind of like, oh, maybe it's imposter syndrome where I'm just like, oh, can I handle that? Can I, And so in saying that, the collaboration that we have access to, but the collaboration that's already happened is just really a beautiful thing. Someone in the chat was kind of asking about the community and how we gel together. But I feel like that's one of the strong points. We kind of touched on that earlier. That's one of the strong points here is, yes, there could be the crab in the bucket thing, but I feel like there's less of that and there's more of people who are really operating in a different lens than maybe what we are accustomed to, or maybe some of the things we may have experienced in our past, lives and where we used to live. I find that I can reach out to so many people here in San Miguel in any circle and get help. I don't know if you feel that way.
No, yeah, because when my stove blew up, I was like, Michelle.
Oh, that's right. I'm on fire.
Right. And Michelle was like,
I was like, are you okay?
she was on it, but again, it's not letting those things deter you from your space. But I believe the same thing. I think that's again what makes our the women here are just really different. First of all, if you're not coming correct, we're gonna peep it right away. That's how savvy we are.
That's
Okay.
true.
We're gonna be like, that don't work. But I think it's also like a sense of like guardian, like we are protective of each other and what we have going on, and we want to see each other win. So it's like, how can we with our and another thing, like I know Bobby is great at proofreading. Like I'll send stuff over to Bobby that even I sent to my
See, I
mom.
didn't know
Great at
that.
Bobby is great at
I
proofreading.
did not
Like
know that. Ugh.
you want Bobby to catch a misplaced comma,
Send it to
Bobby
her.
she will be
Okay.
like,
I'm going
I
to
mean,
connect her to my marketing guy.
but you need an extra set of eyes all the time. And it
True.
takes like at least 3 to 4 eyes to catch one thing. So, but
True.
it's that kind of like, I'm just gonna let that comma sit there and let it just look like she's just, grammatically
Supposed to
incorrect
be
all
there.
the time.
That's so funny because I do think that no matter where you are, we do have like sometimes the challenges, right? The different personality things. And it's like initially there's the honeymoon phase and then whatever. But what I want to express here is, I've seen the community really take off in the last 1.5 to 2 years or more, where it's just growing. It's not just, oh, it's this demographic in terms of the age. It really is becoming a
Young.
little bit of everything younger. I keep meeting so many, like on Saturday, I forgot all about this. We did a clothes swap on Sunday, not Saturday. I know you missed it. It was so much fun. I mean, yes, it is so much fun. So we did it in this room. We set up like 2 long tables. Everyone brought their stuff that they didn't want anymore. And then we were just like, chatting and exchanging, eating crackers and cheese. And, some other folks showed up that I had not met in person, but they asked, hey, can I come? I saw this online. The point is that as we're growing, I feel like there's a lot of unity. And I really love to share and continue to express that to people. Like if you're coming as someone who is a single person or a solo person, or even as a couple, doesn't matter, like, because sometimes people come and they're like, oh, well, I don't know anyone. You're going to be literally like this in no time. We're like, come on in, there's no like,
It is.
oh, I feel awkward or I feel weird. I'm always like, just show up at an event. And if you see anyone there that you want to talk to, they're going to talk to you. It doesn't even matter who it is. They're going to be like, hey, how you doing? Come sit with us, whatever. And that's what San Miguel is and has always been since I've been here, even before our specific community started to grow. So, don't be afraid to travel and explore this if you're not here already or you haven't visited yet, or if you're not sure. I think it's worth checking out. It's worth bringing your skill set with you, and giving it a try. There's so many of us here that are, we're doing our thing and we're trying to uplift each other. We had a great session on Monday here as well with Michelle, and it was supposed to be 4 to 7, and it was like, I don't even remember, 4 to 8:30 or 9, and it was amazing, And I just remember thinking to myself, like, there's so many of us here that have so many skill sets, and we can really collab and share, right? And help each other, promote each other in ways that maybe we wouldn't have had the same access. I know when I was in my other places in Florida, Texas, I had all kinds of ideas. I had one friend who was similar to, my thoughts and thought process in terms of being an entrepreneur or whatever. And I would talk to her and she'd be like, yeah, and she was a great project manager. And that was the only person I could kick things around with. Everyone else was just like, oh, be careful. It's going to cost a lot of money, and, poo-poo on the idea. And sometimes, yeah, exactly. A naysayer will just kind of like take you out. So just understand that we're here. And, if you do have ideas and things like that, contact Tracie. She's going to inspire you to
get it together.
Exactly, and how to. Exactly.
You can totally do it. I mean, but it's being done. Don't think that somebody has to, or that you have to recreate the wheel.
Exactly.
It's already being done.
Exactly.
Because I know when we opened we're in the process of getting the, Sweet San Miguel together, it was like, Michelle and I were texting late one evening, she was like, do this, do this, do this, do this. We had a group meeting too, and then we had our own private conversation.
Yep.
It was like that kind of thing. And creating community partners with people who have, like kind or supportive businesses that can elevate yours, because it's really about collaboration. And I will say this, I said the Black women here in San Miguel is the Black women community that I prayed for.
Yes.
And I did not get it in the States at all. I did not. And it was a Black women community that I needed. And honestly, will I still be here in San Miguel? Yes, but it just makes it that much sweeter.
Absolutely.
To know that you have your sisters on you, and they become your sister. They really become an extended part of your family. It just is
Absolutely. I mean, the resource sharing,
the
last minute, hey, I'm about to go to this place. You want to come and have a
Danielle for that.
I know Danielle is the organizer of all the fun stuff. Exactly. She is, like we're going to the movies on Friday. Who wants to go? And, the point is that you can be fully immersed, or you can be like, okay, I'm going to pick and choose whatever, but just know you're not alone. And I think that comes along with
speaking of not alone, let me tell you how not alone you are in San Miguel. Two instances. We went to, I think I told you this one. We went to Dolores Hidalgo, which is about 45-minute car ride. Honey and I are on the street doing our shopping because Michelle was like, y'all need to go here for the house. So we did. And we got our things. And all of a sudden we hear, hey, I know y'all from San Miguel. And it was like, we turned around and it was like this waiter from a restaurant we went to just once. He remembered us.
Oh,
And
nice.
so that was, and then also like there's this video of mine on TikTok that continues to circulate about the white people in San Miguel. And when I tell you, all I said I think it was to Lena, because we have two Lenas. But we to light-skinned Lena, that's only how because there's Lena that does the furniture, then there's travel agent Lena, travel agent Lena. She said something to her husband, or her fiance Marco, and because it had got on the wrong side of TikTok. Marco got in there, he made his comment and redirected it back to the right. It has lived now on the Mexican side of TikTok. I think I have more Mexican TikTok followers than anybody.
That's so funny.
And
I
Marco
love
will get in there, he'll say whatever. But that just goes to show you how not alone you are.
Right, exactly. And I want to comment. I hope she doesn't mind, on Lena and her Marco.
They're so cute.
They are so cute. She
so
met
cute.
him here and they got engaged. Her family was at my space last year. and he did the whole beautiful "Will You Marry Me" in Central with the mariachi band. And she came back and she was like, she was showing me her face. I was like,
I
what?
saw that. That's the day we met, was when she was showing the ring off at the brunch.
That's right. And
That's
it
the
was
day. Yeah.
so, oh my gosh, it's so beautiful. So I don't talk about dating, but just for those who have asked,
Yeah.
that she did meet someone here, and
They
I'm
are
just
a
so happy.
cute couple.
They're
And
adorable.
he's a therapist and he works
Yes,
a lot with like Black women and
yes.
like Mexican women. Like
Mhm.
Mark will be about that. He been back champion for us, so I love it. And
Yes,
we have two
absolutely.
dynamic Lenas though. Like don't
Yeah,
forget our other Lena.
we love our other Lena.
Woo,
We love both of our Lenas. Okay,
we
so
do.
other Lena, I've talked about her before, but I'm going to do a refresher because it's
He's
been a
married to a
minute.
Mexican too
She
now.
is. She is also married to a Mexican. She does furniture, and her furniture is so cool. It's kind of like vintage modern. They will
Mhm.
customize things for you if you say, I need that piece, but I need it bigger, taller, wider, longer, whatever it is. They did almost all of my bedroom
He did my
stuff,
whole
and
house.
yes, they have
Mhm.
some fun, and they deliver because you all know if you followed my whole Casa Elm getting started, looking for furniture and things like that, I had a struggle, right, with the furniture and just getting my things done and ready in time. And I don't know why, I just didn't think of her initially because I didn't need furniture for anything. And I just went to the furniture store that I used to drive by all the time. Anyway, long story short is when things fell apart, I was just like, something popped up. I think she does sometimes the sponsored ads on Facebook. And I was like, wait a minute, this is Lena's furniture store. And I contacted her. And can I tell you, they whipped out all my headboards, dressers, nightstands for me in like a couple weeks and delivered, helped me set up. Even like most recently, I needed the sliding barn door look
Mm.
for my yoga studio downstairs.
I've seen
And
that. I gotta see that. Oh
yeah,
my God.
yeah, and I'm telling you, they're so like customer service oriented because
Yeah.
I was online trying to find, the metal, you need the metal kit to hang the doors on. And I was like, oh, which one, because I don't want to order the wrong thing from Amazon. They found someone to make it for me, a metal person. They came, they measured, they did the whole nine, they got the kit, they showed the guy, they made it. Somebody
Oh,
made it. They made the bar, and I just ordered the little pieces, and then they came with the doors. I was just like, you guys are awesome. So
they
we love
are. They did a
Burley.
few pieces for our guest house in Central too. I have
Yeah.
Lena on speed dial. Now I
Yes.
just tell everybody that Lena. Like I think we're pretty much done, but I have Lena on speed dial.
Yes, and she's so funny. She's always like, "Hey, what's up, homie?" I love talking to her. But there are just so many phenomenal people here. We're still needing a hairdresser, so y'all just need to come through. I am
They're coming.
just
They're coming.
Yes, please come, come, come.
They're
So,
coming.
but yeah, anything else you want to add to embracing the pivot, taking those challenges, and making them work for you in another place? Like understanding that yes, it's work, but don't underestimate your abilities to get it done, to do it, to be the things that you've dreamed about.
Yeah. Just like connecting with people who are there as
Mhm.
much as you can, as quickly as you can, as often as you can, and come with like pure intentions and open heart, being
Mhm.
flexible, like you said, a bucket load of patience, but
Mhm.
also giving yourself grace in that pivot. We
Mhm.
have to, first learn to extend ourselves grace so we can, learn how to bestow it upon others, but we must learn how to give ourselves grace because you're not going to learn everything right away. I always say it takes at least a year to fully pivot into your new environment, in your
Yes.
new elevated you. Give yourself at least that year, and that's like the
Mhm.
bare minimum. And in
Mhm.
that, learn how to carve out times of rest, of care for yourself, and making sure it's not centered around it's not always centered around you spending money on you. It's like creating those moments of peace and pleasure within your own environment.
Yes, absolutely. We're starting to get the problem that we had last week
Oh.
again. So this is a good stopping point. We've been on for a while. Anyone who's interested in learning more about Tracie, please go to her website, Tracie Collins official.com.
Oh no. Michelle's frozen.
Information.
Uh-oh. I think you're gone, Michelle. All right, so I'll close out. I don't know if you guys can hear me or not, but thank you guys so much for joining us tonight. It was such a wonderful conversation. Thank you so much for having me on Casa Elm. And make sure to like, share, and subscribe to both of our channels. I got you, girl. I got you, girl. I'm closing it out. And thank y'all so much for being here. See y'all later.
Absolutely. Okay, thank you.
Did you stop it?
I'm trying. It's just doing its own thing right now. I'm like, oh, yeah. Okay, I think it's over. Let me do my stop the video. Okay, maybe that helps. Can you hear me?
I hear you.
Can you hear me? Okay. Girl, so I think my computer, I had to order a new battery. So when it's starting to, when I'm on here for a while, it was at 100%. It literally is like down to whatever. And so I ordered a new battery, but they told me it would be in tomorrow or Friday. So I'll have to bring my computer over and hopefully that works. If not, I might end up having to invest in another laptop. This one's not that old, but I'm like,
Still,
it won't let
always
me
an
be
inconvenience.
great.
It's always an inconvenience.
Yes, oh my gosh. So we got a lot said and done, and
Yay.
I'm happy. Thank you so much
Thank
for
you.
being on. Thank you. I
Yeah,
appreciate
nice
it.
talking to you.
Oh,
People don't even realize, Michelle, how much like of a cool girl you are. You're like a girl's
aw,
yeah, you just like, girl,
aw.
pass me the wine. You know the thing with you that sticks out with me the most is like the first day that we met when we were at El Pavo and
Yeah.
Elton was talking about the event that they were planning, and you were like, but is it though? You were like, just like, and I was like, oh yeah, she my girl. Yeah. No, I love it. I love it.
It's,
Oh, well, go ahead. I know it's all
no,
choppy.
it's, I'm like,
Oh,
I swear.
oh
It's so
no. Okay. I can't really hear you. Staticky. All right. Bye.
hear me? No? Trifling. It is so trifling. Okay, we'll talk. Feel better, sister.